Hi everyone, I'm Heather Poduska, star maker to entrepreneurs who want to unlock their potential and command any stage. Welcome to Thrive, the show where I bring you tips, resources, and people to help you create a more abundant life and business. You are in for high-value content coming to you from industry leaders who are growing their business, making an impact, and rocking their brands. Welcome to the show. Here we go. Hi everyone, I'm Heather Poduska, founder of the Brand Star Academy, where I teach entrepreneurs how to be powerful, profitable speakers and create their own celebrity personal brands. Welcome to this episode of Thrive, How to Succeed in the New Year with my special entrepreneurial roundtable guests. This was a really special episode of Thrive. We did Thrive live with a panel of guest experts, and it was such a thrill to have them. We have Wendy Sabin, who is a wealth leadership expert. We have Karla Driskill, who's the executive director of the Hollister Institute here in Boston that focuses on leadership and personal development. We have Chris Salem, who is a best-selling author, a business and life strategist, and he coined the term prospreneur, how to be a prosperous entrepreneur in all 8 different components of life and business. And finally, we have Michelle Demers, who is the CEO and founder of coworkingclubs.com that has accountability built in to help entrepreneurs succeed in 15-minute increments to create massive wealth and reach their goals. So it was so fun to have this entrepreneurial panel, and I wanted to invite a mixed panel of guests to help bring information, as I always say in the bumper when I'm talking about what the show is all about. It's to bring resources, tips, and people to help you create a more abundant life and business. So we did this live in studio with the cameras, 5 of us, and it was a really fun experiment. I think you're really going to enjoy it, because what it did was I asked questions of each person in their area of expertise, of leadership, of wealth development, of wealth strategies, where you need to be focusing your time and attention with your money to actually make the kind of money and impact and bring home the profits that you want. Wendy was so great talking about ways that entrepreneurs waste their time and where they should focus their time, energy, and attention to have the biggest bang for their buck. And we talked to Karla Driskill about leadership. What does it take to really be a leader? What are the qualities? What are the values? And how does that translate into profits for your business? How can you really stand out? I'm always talking about how do you stand out as a brand leader? And Karla took it a step further. How do you create leadership, a leadership platform for yourself internally and externally for your audience? And Chris Salem was so amazing. He works with people to really help them step in to the best version of themselves, because just focusing on business and leaving the person behind does not make for a successful entrepreneur. You have to fill all of your buckets. And we really focused on what does it mean to be present in the moment, to really take care of yourself so that you can show up as the person in your life and your business that you want to. And we also talked with Michelle Demers about accountability, about having a team, about having other people who can hold you to a higher standard, and what happens in your business when you don't have that, when you aren't being accountable, and what happens when you do, and why it's so important to find a community that lifts you up. And she told us about some incredible results that some of the people have had that have gone through her co-working clubs, of people who have amassed like $200,000 in contracts over 90 days. It was just really exciting to hear about that. And all of my guests were amazing. And it was so fun to have this synergy between these different people who had different sort of bents and their expertises, all towards the same goal of creating input on how you can have a really successful year moving forward. And we covered some really great topics about How do you show up when you are in an environment that is, the environment that we live in today? How do you show up as a leader with an opinion when there are a lot of people that don't share opinions and there's sort of a tension in the air? How do you still show up as a person of authority and create connection instead of divisiveness? So we went deep into a lot of different areas. We talked about how to build wealth leadership. We talked about really what does it take to create the kind of brand that you want to have the kind of success that you want to have in the new year. And I know you're going to really love this. It wasn't just me and one other guest. It was 5 of us in the studio. And my guests were wonderful. I know you're going to love them. We had fun. And I love that. The thing of having accountability and having that community, I really enjoyed having that community on set because it just made the conversation go to that next level. So there's something for everybody here. There's a little bit of leadership. There's a little bit of wealth leadership. There's branding. There's accountability. There's health and wellness. So I hope you enjoyed this episode of Thrive as much as I did and as much as I enjoyed having my wonderful guests on the show. Also, if you would like to know how to create a stellar brand, a star brand for yourself in 2018 so that you can step into that leadership role as a brand leader, so that you can feel good and aligned with who you are and bring the best of who you are to your business and to the market, with your message, with your products and services, with your voice and your performance, so that when you get on stage that you sound and act like a professional and that you look amazing, that people see you and they're like, yes, that is an expert that I want to work with. If that's you, if you're ready for that kind of breakout leadership with your brand, I would love to talk to you. You can email me directly at heather@clearvoicebranding.com, or you can visit my website at heatherpoduska.com and check under the consulting tabs for some of my packages moving forward. Okay, I cannot wait for you to see this show. And until next time, as always, here's to hitting all your high notes. Take care. Bye-bye. Hi, everyone. I'm Heather Poduska, star maker to entrepreneurs who want to become powerful, profitable speakers and create their own celebrity personal brands. Welcome to Thrive, the show where I bring you tips, resources, and people to help you create a more abundant life and business. You're in for high-value content coming to you from industry leaders who are growing their business, making an impact, and rocking their brands. And today is a super special episode of Thrive because we are live in the studio. We are recording live right now. So whatever happens, what happens in the studio stays in the studio. And I'm so excited because we're mixing things up this time. Instead of having just one guest, I have a whole panel of amazing experts. And the theme of this show is to help you become more successful in 2018 as a brand, as a business entrepreneur, and as a human being. And my experts here have such amazing content to share with you. So we're going to jump in. I'm going to introduce everybody so that you get to know who this rock star panel is. We have Karla Driskill, who is the executive director of the Hollister Institute. She is a leadership and communications expert. We have Wendy Sabin, my good friend Wendy Sabin. You may have recognized her from some of the previous shows. Wendy is a business finance expert. And to my left is Chris Salem. Chris Salem is an international best-selling author, a professional speaker, and a life and business strategist. And finally, not last but certainly not least, is Michelle Demers, and her business is she is the CEO of the Co-working Clubs. She is a success and productivity expert. And I'm your host. I'm Heather Poduska. I'm a personal brand strategist, business strategist, and speak to sell expert. So I think we've got a lot of bases covered here, right, to help our audience really be successful in 2018. So we tried to come up with some questions that we thought would be most helpful for you to move the needle forward in your business and to move the needle forward in your personal development, because as we know, personal development mindset is where it all starts. Without that, you're toast. So let's get the ball rolling. Speaking of personal development mindset, Michelle, you really help people set big goals, achieve big goals, and think about accountability and productivity. What is the best way for somebody to go about setting a big goal for 2018?
What I tell people is that how you achieve a big goal is you have to break it down into small bites, because you can only do a little bit at a time. And so I always help people say, if you're looking to break a 6-figure mark. How are you going to do that each month? And how does that break down week by week, what that you need to do? So having a plan and breaking it down is really important to that.
So tell us just a little bit. I just gave a little blurb about what you do. Can you tell us, like a 30-second spiel about this is your elevator pitch. Tell us a little bit more about the co-working space and what you do.
Sure. Well, actually, my co-working clubs are online transformational communities. And so it's a platform that I use where entrepreneurs, business professionals can come in and we work together online. We support each other in helping each other do our individual and collective goals. And it's a lot of fun. We network, we share referrals, but most importantly, as entrepreneurs, we share what's really going on in our businesses and our lives so we can truly help each other.
That's great. I love it. Thank you. So, Chris, I want to build on that. Mm-hmm. Michelle was just talking about breaking it down into smaller pieces. Yeah. What else would you say about setting big goals and achieving them?
Well, I always say that you got to be very specific on what you want to manifest. Too many times people are very vague with their goals long term, and when you look at a long-term goal, you have to have your life and business strategy as one. And it has to be time-oriented. And just as Michelle had mentioned, it's got to be broken down into smaller bites. So you have to be very specific, knowing each and every day that roll up to every week, every month, every quarter, every semi-annual period, every year, to wherever that end goal is, to work on the tasks at hand that are going to take you to where you want to go. So you use SMART goals. You got to be very specific. They got to be measurable. But again, they have to be achievable. You can't, that's where people get overwhelmed and get derailed off of the process. Because again, they're focused on the outcome itself, not the process itself. That's where the key to success is in with obtaining your goals in the process.
So when you say it has to be achievable, would that be, a mistake maybe would be if you're making $20K a year, that you're setting the goal for a 7-figure business by the end of the year? Do you think that would be like not the best kind of goal to set? Or are you like, no, shoot for the moon?
Well, I mean, it's okay to be, when we say shoot for the moon, it's got to be also realistic within your strengths and the skills that you possess. So you want to find something, but you don't want to shortchange yourself. So if we're looking at, if you're at $20,000 a year and you want to be taking your business to, $500,000 a year, then that's income, depending upon what that equates to of how much revenue you have to bring into your business. You can scale to that. But there are going to be certain things that you're going to have to do, change certain types of habits and behaviors and disciplines that are going to be necessary to get there. And you're going to have to be able to align yourself with the right resources and also use systems and leverage effectively in order to obtain that. So that's where having a clear, concise, specific game plan is so important.
And that's what you do in your business, right? Yes. Can you tell the audience a little bit more about what you do? And I know you work with corporate clients, executive clients, sales teams. Can you just say a little bit more about your expertise?
Yeah. So what I do is I work building a foundation. We get to the root cause of what's holding them back, those limited beliefs. So it all starts with the mindset. So again, many times as human beings, we manage the problem. So we're able to kind of push it to the side and we're able to make do with what we have. And we can still get to certain places where what we're striving for, but it's never sustainable unless we get to the root cause. So if you want to operate within the solution, we got to find the bottlenecks or the barriers that are holding you back to remove them and then adopt the specific life and business strategy to get you to where you want to be.
Awesome. So I'm going to shift a little bit over to this side to my lovely ladies over here, because you were talking about scaling to $500,000 and hello, Miss Business Finance strategy. So talk to us a little bit about that. Like, what would be an achievable, SMART goal for someone to shoot for in their business finance for 2018?
Well, piggybacking off what Michelle and Chris were talking about, really, setting these goals, having them be realistic within the strengths and skill set that you already have, and further breaking it down to say, how much is it going to cost me to learn a skill that I don't know? How much is it going to cost me to hire the expert that I need in order to, a done-for-you service or some marketing or branding or those kinds of things, to make sure that you really understand how much it will cost you in order to achieve those goals. Because the last thing you want to do is achieve an amazing goal, and it's cost you so much time and so much money that achieving the goal, while you may be a different person and you have phenomenal branding and assets and all these things, it hasn't actually put cash in your bank in a meaningful way. So really just being very cognizant of the goal actually supporting whatever financial goals that you have as well, so that you meet the goal, you finish the year, and you feel good about what you did.
That's great. So just give us a little 30-second thing about how you help people. And I know you work with companies and entrepreneurs that really have 6 and 7 figures and are at a level where they can actually optimize what you do for them.
Exactly. I have found that working with entrepreneurs at the 7-figure level is really fun for me. I also love finding out the bottlenecks around, the profit and loss statement. It tells you where you are on the map, and then you have to figure out how did you get there. And these are some of the things that I love to do. I put my expertise kind of packaged into the Art of Wealthy Leadership program, which I do, and I take my clients through helping them figure out exactly where obviously there's money leaks, right? But there's also productivity leaks. There is also, obviously, I've worked with Karla on the leadership side. There are all kinds of different areas where businesses can be losing money, not just for financial reasons, but for all kinds of other reasons too. So I help my clients try to figure out the balance of, that's where the art of the wealth and the leadership come together. So it really is your business aligning up with your life.
Love it. I love it.
Awesome. In a way that makes money.
Yeah, absolutely. So Karla, Wendy just talked about that leadership part, and I know that you help people to get to a 7-figure, 8-figure business. You have to be able to really lead yourself. Absolutely. So what would you talk about in terms of setting achievable goals and really leading yourself to make those come to fruition?
Well, first of all, I coach everyone that you have to work twice as much on yourself as you do on your business, because you have to be able to leverage yourself into activity. So we don't talk about what you need to do to be a leader as much as we talk about who do you need to be first. It's leadership from the inside out. So many times people come to me and say, can you just give me the 3 quick steps to success? And most of the time they have bookshelves filled with the 3 quick steps to success. And that hasn't worked. So then they went to the 4 quick steps to be a better leader. When really, if they would just take the time to self-reflect and look at who do I need to be first? How can I influence myself to be the leader that's going to allow me to influence others? So it's critical that people who want to grow their income, grow their leadership by first growing their self-awareness about their own gaps and working on themselves first.
You're the executive director of the Hollister Institute, and that's based right here in Boston. So can you say a little bit about what that is and what you do?
Absolutely. The Hollister Institute is a division of Hollister Staffing, which has been around for over 30 years. And the link is that by placing people in jobs for 30 years, we were able to recognize the gaps that people had, especially in terms of their ability to communicate, their emotional intelligence, because emotional intelligence is twice as important as IQ or technical skills for job success. So the Hollister Institute was born out of a desire to not only help people find a job in the staffing industry, but succeed at their job by building their leadership, their self-awareness, and their emotional intelligence.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. And that brings me back to what we were talking about the 3 steps to success and the 4 steps to success. And Michelle and I had a conversation about this a couple of weeks back, that people buy programs to be successful, their online program. I have 3 online programs, and I don't know if everybody's doing all the steps, because you have to be accountable and disciplined and lead yourself and make sure your money is in order. And what you do is help people keep that accountability. Yes. So talk to us a little bit now, for all you entrepreneurs out there who have bought online products. Raise your hand if you've ever bought an online product that you didn't use all the way through. I'm gonna two hands
and my feet. Yeah, absolutely.
So that you have sort of a secret sauce about helping people to do that, to actually use the products that they buy.
Yes.
So talk about that.
Yes. Well, the club itself is a daily online check-in that people do. And we have a whole process, and we actually have people who sign an agreement that they're going to check in a certain number of times. And if they don't, we're going to follow up with them. But that's what they're joining for. because a lot of the people that join the clubs that I do, they're entrepreneurs. They work from home. They're online, but yet they don't have that structure themselves. They're a little too free-form, too free-flowing. So I provide structure in an online world, but I set up processes for them. We break down what their goals are. What are they checking in on every day? We can see if they're checking in every day. If they're not, we're reaching out to them so they don't fall off the wagon and get lost. So it's really very powerful what we do. But we're all about taking a daily action, that sustainable success that Chris and I talk about. What can you do repeatedly, consistently, joyfully on a daily basis? And that's the action that we have people checking around.
Do you have any particular universal action, no matter what program you're buying, no matter what thing you're working on, that people can do to stay accountable? Like something that most people can do to stay accountable?
Well, the biggest thing and why we exist is you need somebody else, I think, to be accountable to. So we provide that in the club, but if you don't have that, have somebody that you're checking in with. I believe that goals need to be witnessed by others. I mean, we certainly can succeed on our own, but typically we succeed through the community and support of others. So having somebody to check in with is really critical.
So, Chris, I want to just piggyback on that because we were talking, you and I talked earlier about social media, and I feel like social media is a double-edged sword. You can feel really connected or you can feel really isolated. Mm-hmm. So how do you keep that sense of community going when you're working with someone one-on-one or as a coach? How do you help them get that sense of accountability to a greater group?
Well, again, as Michelle said, I mean, when you have somebody else that's, you're working with, that's going to help you even further keep accountable to those goals because somebody else knows about them. Mm-hmm. But it's not that person's going to tell you how, when, and why to do it or, scold you because you didn't do what you were supposed to do. That's not their job. Their job is just to be there as a sounding board, so to speak, not to enable you, but to empower you to move forward. And if you make a mistake, to get right back on the horse. But this is where Facebook, social media can be very effective. Like Facebook, you can have a closed or a secret or a private group where you can then communicate with others of how you're, coming along with progress with your goals. And then you can share how you're feeling and get feedback. And it just keeps that support going to keep it going. And in programs that Michelle offers that just make it more sustainable.
Yeah, I like that. But I know that it can also be a time suck too, like this social media. Yeah. I know I was just going to turn to you, my friend, because you've been on a social media diet, right? And
many times.
And
yes.
I was going to ask you about that. So we have on the one hand, we have the positive side of having community and accountability and, cohesiveness. And on the other hand, you have sometimes an addiction, that is
absolutely.
Unhealthy attachment to it. So tell us a little bit about your philosophy about social media and how, and we seem to be focusing on productivity a lot, but I know that you've had some strides in your productivity over the past year.
Oh, definitely.
And so how has that changed for you?
When I go on a social media diet, I create better content. I have more, I love to think, oh my gosh. And social media really distracts me from thinking because then I'm thinking about they could do this and why did they do that? And oh, look at that cute kitten. I do. I love little kittens on Facebook. But when I take that break, my mind is so much more effective. And sometimes it's a week. Sometimes it's through unsubscribing to a bunch of emails that just don't really align with exactly where I am anymore. And it's all, we are evolving as humans, as entrepreneurs, as parents, and all the relationships that we're having. And I have found that my needs change for what I actually want to have in my life. Mm-hmm. And also what I want my daughter to see. If I pick up the phone and I'm like, wait a minute, I don't actually want to do anything on this. I'm just going to put it down and enjoy the time with her. Because that's why I'm doing this. That's why I started my business, so that I could have a balance of work and family and set the right values for her as well.
Yeah. And that's being the leader of your business and the leader of your family and the leader of yourself as well.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. Yes. Yeah. Hasn't been easy.
No. Well, and nobody said leadership's supposed to be easy.
No.
If it was easy,
entrepreneurship it's never going to be easy. But it's either in you or not, and it's always a balance. It's never to be perfect, but we're always striving for the best balance we can possibly obtain.
Yeah,
It's not for the faint of heart.
No. Do you at the Hollister Institute work with both corporate professional people going up the corporate ladder and entrepreneurs?
We do. We work with individuals and teams.
So do you see any difference in sort of the entrepreneurial people and the corporate people? And
I do.
So what would you say some of those differences are?
I would say an entrepreneur by nature is a little bit of a rebel. And so they don't like to be held accountable because they want to set their own rules. And so that's where we come into play, is to help them be accountable. In fact, one of our favorite sayings at the Institute is the average person doesn't like accountability, and that's why they're average. So I would say that while an entrepreneur has this zest and enthusiasm and innovation, and they're very creative, it can be any strength taken to an extreme can be a liability. We work with that, where corporations often have protocol in place to keep people in their lane. And some people that's wonderful for. But once again, any strength taken to an extreme. So when we work with the corporate team, we work with them on expanding their vision and thinking outside of the lines and being more creative so that they can better meet the needs of their employees and create a culture where their employees are really lit up about their job and passionate.
And what about the entrepreneur? Like, do you do things to help them sort of rein it in?
Always. Yeah. We absolutely. So I say once again that virtue is the medium between two extremes. So I help them come up with ideas. We coach from the place that they have the ideas within them. I don't need to tell them what to do. I just need to create a space and accountability for them to do. Most people have plenty of information. They don't have enough application. So I'm there to support them in a framework.
Can you repeat that?
Applied
where's
knowledge.
My pen? Where's my
Applied
pen?
knowledge.
Most people have plenty of information. They just need application. So at the Institute, we want to provide them an opportunity to apply that information in a way that's going to help them support their view of success, not anybody else's, their view of success, so that they feel great about their contribution.
That's great. That's great. And I know that it's personally, I keep hearing, we're talking about this. It's so important to have accountability. And there's, part of my rebel entrepreneurial brain is like, don't box me in, don't tell me what to do. And like to have that, you need that outside, guiding force that says this is in your best interest, like we do for our kids, right? Like you might not want to make your bed, but it's part of the discipline of. So, and I wanted to come back to you because Wendy mentioned having that mental space of putting her phone down, and we were talking about this before of being in the moment and how important that is to success. So, can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, the whole idea, mindfulness is being in the moment, and with the ability to be mindful, you can create the stepping stones becoming having more balance. So, while social media can be a really good thing, it can also be a major distraction and cause a lot of issues with your overall wellness because it can be unhealthy. So the key is always be in the moment and separating those times that when you are focused with your family, that's all you're doing. You're just with your family. And then when it's time for social media, then that's time for social media. But it's putting everything into different tasks and being laser focused in the moment and not projecting what you have to do later and not going back to the past, what didn't work. Being in the moment, laser focused, applying action to what you're doing.
So do you guys think, as a group, that we were talking about being mindful and mindset, and, 15, 20 years ago, nobody knew what yoga, like the yoga craze had not taken over our culture, and now we have yoga and mindfulness centers. Do you think that, we're becoming, as a culture, mindful enough, or that it's moving in the right direction? Like for 2018, what do you see on the horizon around that?
I mean, I see that, there are people that are migrating towards mindfulness. There are people that are what they call conscious capitalists, where they believe in collaboration, that there's no competition, that we're all here to help each other. It's really about adding value. So they do understand what mindfulness is on a macro level. But at a micro level, I still think we're really far away from that really understanding the power and impact that mindfulness has, not only in our personal lives for overall well-being, but even our businesses and taking that to the next level, the power that it has.
Yeah, I was at Kyle Cease, the comedian. I love him. He's fantastic. So I went to a Kyle Cease event this fall, and, he's all about meditation that, he wants you to do an hour a day. So I've been doing an hour a day for the past, I think I'm on 80 to 84. But his thing is that, if you meditate, that is the best thing you could do for the world. Period. Like no other accomplishment that you have. If you are taking time to meditate because of the ripple effect that your consciousness, your raised consciousness will have on your family, on your work, on your community. So, I'm having an experiment with that to see how that's going.
It's calm energy. And when you experience the calmness, it's tied to also a loving energy. And love is the highest vibrational energy there is. So when you're putting that out there, you are making a difference for world consciousness, even though it's one person. Now, just imagine if we were all doing that, the dramatic changes that you would see would be off the charts. It's energy. Energy is everything.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I love that we're talking about community. So you can't, I don't think, it takes a village, right? It takes a village to succeed. We're all here, we're having this panel discussion because we all have voices that need to be heard to help other people, and that we all care about that. So talk a little bit more about just that aspect of community. Yeah, and it's accountability and productivity, but just that, that virtual hug that you get from the community.
That's so important. Actually, that's one of the main points of feedback that I get is that as entrepreneurs, we always need to present ourselves very professional, always polished. We're on it, right? And we all know that that's not usually or always the case, right? I mean, we all have our own struggles. And so having a place and people where you can really truly share those struggles, the wins, the challenges, and the people who will also, when you're doing great, are going to be your cheerleaders. They're when you're winning, they're happy for you. And so having people like that, those kindred spirits that are with you on the ups and downs, the entrepreneurial roller coaster, so important. So wherever you are, I think as a business person, you need to find your tribe, your people, whether that is a local networking group or an online group or a Facebook group. That's critical, is to have people around you that support you.
Yeah. And I know that you do that at the Hollister Institute as well, right? That whole idea of masterminding. It's a little bit different. You do the co-working clubs, and I don't know how that, maybe you could talk about that, the difference between that and a mastermind, because I know that they're very similar. Maybe they are the same thing.
There's elements of that to what we do. There's a lot of different things to the recipe, but I think the traditional sense of mastermind, it would be a little bit different. So I'd be interested to hear how you do your masterminds or describe that.
Yeah.
Well, so masterminding, I think the term originated with Napoleon Hill.
Yes.
Who wrote Think and Grow Rich.
Right.
And it was the idea that collective intelligence, you can come up with better ideas. So when you mastermind, you come together with a group of people from a diverse background and different walks of life, but they all bring a different viewpoint, so that you leave that encounter with an enhanced perspective and vision that can support you in creating greater results in your life. So the masterminds we do are not free-for-alls. They're guided, and we often have a book where we come together and we read a book. We have assignments, so we also provide some accountability. But then through that discussion, people leave with more motivation, with more insight, so that they are more excited to go back to their life to contribute. Because at the end of the day, it really is about contribution. It really is. I mean, no one's going to lead this life with a U-Haul. We've all heard that. But it's true. It's all about the difference we make in the lives of others. A mastermind allows us to do that.
Yeah, that's awesome. And I personally also feel like the biggest contribution you can make is being of service, but also of just coming to your own potential and sharing your own creativity. Sometimes it's not an altruistic thing. Like I'm doing this, that I think sometimes we think we have to serve, we have to help someone else, give a helping hand, which we should. It's that we should do that. But sometimes being incredibly selfish is the most selfless thing that you can do.
Yeah, I mean, because again, there's a difference between, I like to bring up these words, there's enabling and there's empowering.
Yeah.
And many of us sometimes are enabling people thinking we're doing something good, but we're actually doing it. It's counterproductive. There's a difference between being pleasing someone and being kind to someone, where kindness is far better than pleasing someone. Because pleasing and enabling go together. Kindness and empowering go together.
Yeah.
There's a difference, and that's where, you can go one way or the other, depending upon how you look at it.
Yeah, I love that. That's great. Now, you were talking about so that they can go on and contribute and create the kind of success that they want. And I know that your philosophy around money management, wealth, wealthy leadership is a little bit different from, I think, the traditional, CPA, square box, thinking
Maybe
about
a little bit.
Yeah. And I know that it's really important for you to help people create what they really want and to have their business serve their bigger vision for their life versus the other way around. Can you talk a little bit about that and how people get stuck in their business models and we talked about that with the goal setting, so that the goal becomes the thing as opposed to you becoming the thing.
Right. Anytime I work with anybody on I have two ways to work with people. Solving profit problems, which could be, the spreadsheet kind of things. And, use that to kind of drill back to where's the real bottleneck happening here? And then the other way is really grounded growth and really designing the business with the systems and the structure and just the simplicity generally. It's not I really want a complicated business. It's I'd really like to have more simplicity into my business. And okay, is this spending decision, is this going to support your goal for simplicity? Is this going to support the way in which you want to interact with your family at the end of the week? Is this going to give you time to do the things that you want to do in your business? Are you leading the business, or are you doing the client service and picking up the phone and taking out the trash and all these things? We all have to do that here and there, but are you doing these things all the time, or are you really setting up the business to be profitable, to let you be that leader? Are you doing it in a way that you can grow your team so that they can become the leaders? And that is one of the, I love helping people set up the business models to really get rid of all the stuff that you just don't need in your business anymore so that you can become the person that you want to become, which includes becoming the parent that you want to be and the spouse or significant other that you want to be and the human being, and being able to do all these things. Your business is making money, but you're able to contribute in different ways. And the way that you treat money leaves a lasting impact for the people that are in your life, and your kids see how you treat money, and they're going to treat money like that when they grow up, because they're treating it in a different and a better way.
Right.
And that's one of the things that I really love helping people figure out.
So, and I know that you specialize, you used to do tax returns for billionaires, right?
A little bit, yeah.
Yeah. So, you really have a different understanding of wealth and wealth management. For the entrepreneurs that are climbing up and they see that 7-figure on the horizon, what is the thing that they need to know most?
The thing that they need to know most, I would say, is what mark do you really want to leave with the money that you're making in the business? How much is going to stay in the business? How much is going to be as an impact into the world for your clients and for your philanthropy, but also how much is going to be just the way that you handle money in your own personal situation, and how, are you constantly chasing money? Are you constantly saving money? I've heard, I'm sure we've all heard, money just makes you more of who you are. Having more money doesn't make you a great person or an awful person. If you're a great person, it's going to make you even greater to be able to do these wonderful things for people. And if you're an awful person, well, then there's impacts on that as well. But money makes you more of who you are. And so just think about who you want to be and what you want your money to do beyond your life.
You talk a lot about that, about the legacy.
I do. Yeah. It's really important to me.
Yeah. So, Karla, Wendy was talking about who you want to be. Do you have people that come to you and they're like, I'm not sure who I want to be? And how do you help them figure that? So if I can do it, I said, I want to be a leader, but I don't know what kind of leader. How would I start understanding that?
Well, I think first of all, we would identify some of the people that you admire as leaders. That's where mentorship comes into play. Anyone that's a great leader has had a great mentor and a great role model. So when someone's wondering, what do I want out of my life? I'll often ask them, well, tell me about some people that you really admire. How have they impacted you? What do you admire about them? And then I also walk them through a values exercise to help them identify their core values so that their actions and their activities and their life pursuits are in alignment with their core values so that they can live congruently.
I love that. And, I am going to bring this up because it's the world that we live in. We live in sort of an unusual time, especially in our country, and it's kind of volatile in some ways, and everybody has different opinions about things. But I always feel like as entrepreneurs, we really, really are leaders. And we're the ones, and not that people in corporate aren't too. But if you're, running your own business and you have a little bit more of a voice, you have your own brand, you have your platform. So my question to all of you is, how do you think that we can step up as entrepreneurs and help create the kind of country, society that we want to live in and really step into our leadership? I know it's a loaded question.
Well,
we're here, right?
I always say it starts with, what Karla was saying. It starts with who you are and being who you are. And a lot of times, I think we've been conditioned to be people that don't define who we are. We were led to believe that we're somebody else, and this is where limited beliefs come into play, and where a lot of times people end up getting into certain careers or jobs or professions that don't really define who they are. So once they have a clear picture of really who they are, they can begin to really start to live authentically in that. And adopt and really expand upon their strengths to really add more value. And that's really what it's all about. It's really about empowering people to become their true, pursue their true purpose, be who they are, and really make an impact and add value to others.
So, Chris, I know that you've worked with some really influential people, Jack Canfield, and just to name one. And I mean, how do you become the person who is in those circles of influencers? And you're on the influencer channel,
Voice America Influencer Channel.
Voice America Influencer Channel with your radio show. So you have a bigger platform. You have a voice in the marketplace. So if you don't have a radio show, if you're not rubbing shoulders with Jack Canfield, how can you start to create some of that status for yourself so that you can have some influence in the way you want things to go?
So again, it comes back to being who you are. Being not afraid to be who you are, because there are going to be people that are not going to like who you're becoming or who you are. And that's okay. Because if you don't allow it to bother you, those people are not going to matter. But the people that are really, as Karla mentioned, the people that are out there that are, that are influential, they're not afraid to be who they are. They don't care if they have enemies, because they want to align themselves with people that really are making a difference in this world. So it's adopting that same philosophy to become who you are, and then begin to put yourself into those circles and communicate with those people, because you are the product of the people you hang around with. So again, if your values and your beliefs and your strengths are aligned with others that are doing good for the world, that's going to make you more influential. And then if you align yourselves with certain types of channels to convey your message, that allows you to even get out further to more people.
Yeah.
Well, I'd like to add to that I think it's also about pursuing excellence as an entrepreneur, because we lead and we are more influential the more people recognize excellence and not average in our life. And so I was just coaching someone today, and I said, if you want to go to the next level in your career, then raise your standards for yourself in every area, physically, relationally, emotionally, spiritually, financially. Raise your standards, because that's what will set us out and allow us to have more influence and a larger voice, because people will respect us. They'll see that we are playing a bigger game and we're no longer settling for status quo.
Yeah. You got to move out. You got to move out of your comfort zone, and that's the thing. Is people become complacent. You have to every day come out of your comfort zone, and do this in a way that's going to take whatever you do defines who you are to the next level, and that's going to attract other people that are doing the same thing, that are influential.
Yeah, and I would add too, from personal branding perspective, I always say that the job of your brand isn't to be popular.
It's your message.
It's to get your voice out so that you can, attract the people who resonate with your message and that you can lead. So people who don't have any controversy about their message probably are not clear and that are not really standing on it.
Well, you see people that are in the news, right? They're popular for like a few months, maybe a half a year, and then you never hear them again because it's all about them. It's about, from an ego level, it's about their own personal image, but there's no message or any substance behind it. Because many times it's not coming from who they really are. But when it's really about who you are and what your beliefs and values are, that the message itself is going to become more sustainable. And it's going to have a legacy that will be carried on by other people that adopt those same principles.
Yes, that's excellent. And Wendy, I know that you also we're talking about values. And one of the things that you always talk about is helping people make better decisions.
Well, and I was just thinking about that. Like, you have personal values, and then as an entrepreneur, we have core values for our business. Meaning, I want to work with clients that do X. I can help people. We were talking about in the conference room before. You're going to work with people to solve make a problem go away, or people that want to change. It draws in a completely different crowd depending on what line you draw in the sand. It's for your business. Like, we're going to do this. If you want to do business that way, sorry, but we're not the firm for you. And that, I think, is very, very empowering, because then it's a clear yes and no. It takes away a lot of the indecisiveness around, should I work with this client? Or like, oh, you bend over backwards trying to get a client and they're just not ready. But they, in reality, they just haven't met the standard that you have set. They haven't met your business core value around who you can be working with and the kind of people you can serve and the ways in which you can serve. If you're going to be putting in the work, you want to make sure that you're doing it for the right reasons and making these core value decisions for yourself as a person and for your business and what your business stands for makes it very easy for you to, these are leadership questions. These are not, I feel like answering this question kind of, these are things that define your path for the rest of the year. They define the kind of goals that you set. They define the kind of money that you make. Setting a goal to have a financially sustainable business is different than setting a goal to reach X number of followers.
Right.
Different financial results, different being who you become in order to in order to achieve those goals. And so I like those upfront decisions because it makes my life so much easier. Because okay, then why did you spend the money on this? If you didn't want to do it, like you said you wanted to do X, but you spent the money on Y. All right. It's very easy once you set those core values for your business and for yourself. I
agree with that. And it was one of the things that when I first started working with people, I was like trying to pull them along to want to be on the stage. And, my moniker, I call myself a star maker because I like to work with people who want to be in the spotlight, who want to be on the stage, who have a bigger message and they want to share it in a bigger way. And when I first started, I was, we all do that. We're just trying to get clients, but I was like trying to get them to want what I wanted for them. And when you make that decision of like, well, this is the core value in my business.
Exactly.
This is who I can serve and who's 90% the way, all the way where I want to be already, where they want to be already. So I really agree with that. And Michelle, I wanted to turn back to you because I know that your co-working clubs actually work with some big influencers, and you've had people in your clubs who've had amazing results from being in there. So can you talk a little bit about that, of how that helps someone really grow into their leadership so that they can have that voice and make that impact?
Sure. Yeah, well, just backing up a hair, if I could.
Of course.
Because people are talking about values. Just from an overall brand sense, I think what people are really yearning for these days is just people and brands being real, walking the talk and embodying what it is that their message is. And that's so important. And I think as entrepreneurs, we have that opportunity that you sometimes don't have if you're working at a company where maybe your personal values don't align with your company's values, but you can create your own business to be an exact reflection of who you are and how you want to do it. And so in the club, I think you've used the word empowerment several times. So we really are helping people to fully express themselves. And actually, somebody I was talking to, I said, well, what is your goal for 2018? And she said, I have some fear in my business and I want to get to the other side of that. And so working with people to break down those walls, break down that fear so that they can be all of themselves out there is a big part of how we help people do that.
That's great. That's great. So kind of as we're sort of finishing up, I want to ask each of you to think about this. Like, what is one thing that is on the landscape moving forward that people really need to think about for the new year to be successful in 2018? If you could just give one piece of advice and say, this really you need to pay attention to in the new year. I don't know who wants to start if you have something.
I'm happy to start.
Yeah, go ahead.
Piggybacking on what Chris said about mindfulness, I was at a conference recently and they shared a statistic that Americans touch their cell phones 2,300 times a day on average. 2,300 times a day.
Wow.
And so I see on the horizon technology creating more and more of a rift in true connection, not only with others, but with ourselves as well.
Mm-hmm.
So my challenge to people in the new year would be to take time to turn off your electronics and self-reflect. It's a lost art. It's a lost art. And to grow ourselves, to grow our leadership, to grow our business, we need to be self-aware, which is going to require taking a retreat from technology and having some rituals in place for self-reflection.
So what's
Great point.
Yeah. What's one of your favorite rituals?
I like to journal just 10 minutes a day. I think to what you said earlier, what you can do consistently and continually for success. But if I can just get up and take time to just write down how I'm feeling without editing it, not writing like someone's going to read it, just getting it out, then I can approach my day with more clarity.
Great. I love it. I love it. Anybody else?
Well, I mean, Karla just hit it on the head. I mean, the journaling is so important. Meditation and journaling are something that we should all be doing. And guys, don't think journaling is a diary, okay? You can journal too, and there's power that comes from here through the arm, or if you're left-handed, through your hand on paper. Write it down. Doesn't matter what you're writing. Don't analyze it. Don't overthink it. Just, be real. And when you learn how to be mindful, that's where the magic happens. Being in the moment. That's where things happen.
And I just want to say thank you to our guy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Wendy?
Oh, gosh. I definitely agree with everything on the mindfulness components. Really, for 2018, if you think about how money plays out in your life, are you going to commit to being an entrepreneur, a leader of a financially successful business? And what does that look like? It's very different than being amazing at marketing. It's very different from being amazing at all these other tools and tactics and things that we need to do in our business. But stepping into the leadership of being the leader of a financially successful business and all that entails is, certainly going to impact your pocketbook and your checkbook. But you become a different person when you make that commitment. And so I would urge people to consider, setting the goals around not just reaching a certain income level, but running a financially sustainable and successful business.
Can you give one financial tip for people to do that? They might be hearing you and saying, that sounds great, but I don't know what that looks like.
Okay. So if you look at your profit and loss and you look at a number on there and you're like,
You're like, what?
Sorry. Don't do a meme of that, please. And really look at that number and what's going in there, because some of it, okay, sure, you're making emotional spending decisions probably, but there's also leadership things. You could be spending money on people in your team that you don't even like, that aren't doing their job. Those are decisions. Those are things you need to figure out and nip it in the bud, on the outside. And you also need to fix it on the inside using a lot of the tools and strategies that we talked today so that you can be that leader. Mm-hmm. It's a big difference.
I love it.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you. Michelle?
I would say the power word for 2018 is focus for me. Laser focus. And where focus intersects that sweet spot of focus and doing what you love.
because the people that I work with, they're just doing too many things. They're offering too many products and services, doing too many different kinds of marketing for too many different kinds of clients. And the challenge I want to put out to people is look at your business and remove 50% of that and choose just the clients that you want to work with, like Wendy was talking about. Choose just the types of marketing that you want to do. If not the stage, maybe blogging is your thing. Not everyone has to have a blog, but whatever you do, do it well and take it far and deep as opposed to shallow and wide. So if you can choose a lane to be in, super laser focus, and focus all of your energy in there, you're going to be much further ahead by the end of the year.
I love that. And that's a branding principle too.
Yeah.
Of really choosing your lane.
With niching,
And I would add that getting clear on first getting clear on your message, but in 2018, as much as we need to have our meditation and our journals and step away from technology is not going away. It's a tool, and it's like money. It's a tool. It's like fame. It's a tool. And getting visible with your message there's going to be more noise. There are going to be more people on video. There are going to be more people just in the market. So I would say get clear on your message first and then get visible, because you don't help anybody. I always say you don't get paid to sing in the shower unless you're really comfortable singing naked in front of a lot of people. Which I don't have a problem with that, but that's a different show.
Unless you have a really big shower.
There you go. Then big shower.
Then they can come join.
But getting clear on the message first, and then using technology to get your platform heard. That's what I would say.
Yeah, be consistent.
Yes, focus.
Focus and consistent.
Focus and consistent. So I just want to thank you guys for doing this live. You were all phenomenal. You all came from different places, from Connecticut and from work and all of these places. So thank you so much for being here.
Thank
you were amazing. Such great insights that you brought and your expertise. I really thank you so much. And I ask everybody at the end, we kind of did this already, but what I'd love if you each said what it means to each of you to thrive.
So, I mean, to thrive, again, for me, it's always being who I am, serving my purpose and impacting others. I mean, this is where you create a thriving environment. So whether if it's in your business, it's empowering others, being authentic, be that authentic leader. If it's in your relationships, taking charge to be who you are, be the example so that your spouse can do the same, and allowing them room to be themselves. And it's also more important with you and your personal wellness and taking care of you, because if you take care of your wellness first, it's going to take care of you, and it's going to empower other people to do the same.
Thank you.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think thriving is when anything and everything you're doing is adding to you in your life as opposed to taking away from. So I actually think that that's a good barometer in terms of making decisions. Is this going to move me forward, add to my life, this person, this opportunity, this piece of chocolate cake, or is it going to take away? Yeah.
Thank you.
I would say being self-expressed, and really like things that are in your life, are they energizing you or are they exhausting you? Kind of similar thing. It's really important that we got to be excited about what's going on, what's cooking, If you're cooking with gas, you got to be excited about it. And so that's what I would say.
A lot of people come to the Institute and they say they're struggling with work-life balance. And I say that's a myth. There is no such thing as work-life balance. It's really about paying attention to your whole self, every part of yourself. And we can't pay attention to every part of ourselves in the same amount, but to have a ritual in place and a game plan so that I'm taking care of myself physically, emotionally, relationally, financially, and spiritually, that's when I'm thriving, when I'm taking care of my whole person.
The 8 pillars of wellness. Love it.
Yeah. I feel like when you are connected and aligned to what is the core of who you are, and then you feel that energy going through you, because my life philosophy is when you have your voice, you have everything you need to succeed. But you have to hear that voice internally, and when you find that voice, you have to open your mouth and sing with it. So when you have that, I feel like that's when I'm thriving, because it takes care of a lot of the other things. So that's it for me. But thank you all again for being here. I appreciate it so much. This is our maiden voyage and never be forgotten the first time. Thank you so much. Thank you to WinCam. If you are somebody who wants your own show and have a wonderful panel like this, you can check out WinCam in Winchester. And I want to thank David and Suzette and all the people behind the camera to make this live show possible. Thank you so much for joining us. And as always, until next time, here's to hitting all your high notes. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye. Hi everyone, it's Heather again. I hope you enjoyed this episode of Thrive. Every week we try to bring you people and information to help you change your life for the better, to grow your business, to expand your thinking, and to open your heart. If you did enjoy this content, I would so appreciate it if you would go to iTunes and review us. Let us know how we're doing. We'd love to hear your thoughts and your feedback. And if you found this information helpful or useful in any way, please share it on out. Let your friends and family know about Thrive. And finally, if you'd like to know more about me, you can visit me at heatherpoduska.com. Until next time, here's to hitting all your high notes.